Good morning. Hope you guys are doing well. For everyone that's watching and that will be watching, thank you for joining us. It's been months. I actually have no idea how long since it's been that I've done a morning leadership training. We've been super busy. I've been traveling with Dad a ton and going places with him and trying to do social media and just been working on other stuff and learning and school and lots of things. But Dad convinced me finally that I should probably start doing leadership training again. So I know we had a lot of people in Nigeria as well that actually really loved this and were super supportive of it. So for the people that I know are my main crowd, which is in Nigeria, thank you. We will be beginning this stuff again. And what we're doing is, and you'll see the title is called The Four Pillars of Leadership by John Maxwell, is what I'll be going through. It's a book I picked up while I was in South Africa. I read through it a couple times. Really, really powerful. He has four main things he talks about in this book, and he calls it's relationships, equipping, attitude, and then the key point is leadership. And today we'll be doing part one, and I won't talk for super long, but I just want to go over some of the first chapter that he has that he calls the nature of relationships. And he says, why are relationships important to success? And he has a key quote that he has on the first page here that he says, relationships are the glue that hold team members together. So I'm not going to read the whole first portion of the story that he has written down in this first chapter. I'm kind of going to summarize it for you guys because it's a little long. But he tells a story of a man named Michael Deaver in the 1960s who was politically bent to find a leader that he could believe in and follow. And eventually he ends up following Ronald Reagan, who we know was the 40th president and had 2 terms in office. A few of the things that he says that he admires about Ronald Reagan was he said that he would go so far as to say that he was actually incapable of dishonesty, which is a huge statement, right? If this man was able to say this about Ronald Reagan, which was super cool, he really believed in him. He believed in his leadership skills and who he was, but he also said he loved the ability he had to relate to people. He comments and says Ronald Reagan was one of the shyest men he'd ever met, yet when he was president was able to connect with anybody, whether a head of state, a blue-collar worker, or a feisty member of the press. When asked about why he had such a good rapport, he remarked that Reagan basically liked people, whether they were part of the press corps or whether they were just ordinary people, and that comes through. While many of the press wouldn't agree with his policies, they genuinely liked him as a person, right? And I thought that was super cool. This person was able to speak about him in such high regard. We know he had a natural charisma, a little bit of a verbal glib aptitude is what he says in this, and that he had the greater ability to relate to people. And that's what matters most, right? When you're in a position of leadership, what matters is when you are relating to people. So, solid relationships. Everyone liked being around Ronald Reagan because he loved people and connected with them. He understood the relationships were the glue that held everyone together. And the more solid the relationships, the more cohesive the team, right? Any company or any business or even a church when you're running it, when you have a solid foundation of relationships with the people around you and the people that you are leading or trying to lead or you are in charge of or in the business you're running, when you create these relationships with people, of course, it is going to help the team to what? Exceed expectation, to work above and beyond what they are called to do because they admire you, they respect you, they see you as a leader, and they see you as someone that they can also look up to sometimes, right? Because some people, when they enter your business world, sometimes they enter a certain business because they want to learn that craft. And who better to learn from than the guy who's in charge, who's actually building relationship with his employees or with the people in their circle, right? So it doesn't matter whether you are a leader or a follower, coach or player, teacher or student, parent or child, CEO or nonprofit worker. I love how he states that like that. You will be involved with people no matter what, right? The question is, will your involvement with others be successful? So he says, your best chance for leadership also depends upon connecting with those on your team. So, nugget 1, first thing he says here, respect. when it comes to building a relationship, everything begins with respect, with a desire to place value on other people. He states a quote by author Le Giblin. That's I think that's how you say it. I looked it up. I'm not entirely sure. I'm still butchering it. But he says, you can't make the other fellow feel important in your presence if you secretly feel that he is a nobody, right? Judgment, right? One of the worst things you can do when trying to create relationships with people, right, or to make new friends, is what? You judge them immediately by what? Sometimes their appearance, or how they act, or how they say things, or if you think some things they say are weird, or if they come at you a certain way, right? Most people's first impression, and this is a proven fact, sometimes the first impression that you'll make on people is in the first 8 to 10 seconds you meet them. Depending on how you greet somebody, will be how you make almost a everlasting impression on someone as well. And then if they don't like the first impression, it takes time to what? Fix the impression you made, right? Most of the time when you go into interviews for jobs or places, whatever it might be, and you shake their hand, some people were going to immediately judge you based on how you shook their hand, said hello, or came in with confidence or no confidence about the job or whatever it is, right? If I walked into a job and I was like, hey, I'm Daniel, and I'm super nervous, right? I'm already giving off a bad first impression because it makes them think, okay, wait, if you're nervous for just the interview, how are you cheat the job, right? Because depending on what kind of job you're trying to get, whether it is about making relationships with people all the time, like a lot of people know, and when they've watched previous videos of me teaching and everything, they know that I've worked hotel jobs with kids. I've been at other jobs, car dealerships, stuff like that. So like I've worked a pretty good amount of jobs. Most of the jobs I've worked have come to having to treat guests and also talk to kids often, right? So in order to do that, what kind of skills do you have to have for those kind of jobs? Being able to create relationships, right? You have to be able to talk, make a good first impression, see how they're doing, right? Take care of them, show care, right? A lot of that comes with respect as well. When you respect the people that you are taking care of, they respect you back. So John says the thing about respect is that you should show it to others even before they have done anything to warrant it, right? It's simply because they are human beings. But at the same time, you should always expect to have to earn it from others. And you earn it, and the quickest is a difficult ground, right? So he says, just because we are human, it is good to just have respect for others, regardless of whether they've earned it or not. If you show respect, what usually happens, you gain respect, right? That first impression. If that first impression when I walk into that interview is, hi, I'm Daniel, how are you? I'm excited for this job, blah, 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 ready? And he's like, that's awesome. He's like, let's sit down and talk. You've already put yourself in a position of what? You respecting him because you're saying, hey, I'm here to work for you. I'm here to do my job. My name is Daniel, right? That's how I'm introducing myself. I'm showing a little bit of confidence, but at the same time, I'm showing a bit of respect by saying, look, I know the position you're at. I'm going to treat you for that position you're at, correct? So that's what you need to do. If people are above you, respect them. People are below you, respect them. No matter what position someone's at, whether they are above you or below you in life, there should be no reason to sit there and not already give them the respect that you think they deserve, even if they don't warrant it, right? Even if they are jerks, they don't treat you right sometimes, or if they're mean, that does not mean that you should show disrespect, because what does God do, right? God shows love, God shows genuineness, he shows care, kindness, right? And what does all that have to do? All of that backs up respect. If you have no respect for someone, are you going to show love? No. Are you going to care for people? No. Are you going to make them feel like you are there for them? No. Without respect, a lot of things are lost within a relationship. The second thing he mentions is shared experiences. Respect can lay the foundation for a good relationship, but it alone is not enough. You can't be relational with someone you don't know. It requires shared experiences over time, and that's not always easy to achieve. And he says, for example, right after Brian Billick, coach of the Baltimore Ravens, won the 2001 Super Bowl, he was asked about the team's chances for repeating a championship season, And he commented and said it would be very difficult. Why? Because 25 to 30% of the team changes every year, and new players don't have the same shared experiences, right? If you look into sports at all, you will notice that in most sports, teams will always change drastically every year. There's always a new player being added to the team, or people getting drafted or switched around, and that definitely happens in football often. I I play fantasy football. Most people don't know what that is, but for the few that do know what fantasy football is, you know all about that stuff because you'll see people be changed teams, players switched out, injuries happen, whatever, right? And because all these things happen, the shared experience of the team is what matters when it comes to a sport. And it's the same thing when it comes to being a part of a team that is leading a group to try and make impact on people or the world or whatever it is you're trying to make impact in, whether it's your church or business or whatever it might be, right? If you can't have shared experience in the team, it's going to make efforts less successful, right? That's why a leader needs to be able to train everybody under their business or in their congregation or wherever it's at to be on mutual ground, to all understand each other, to share same experiences with each other so that we're all on the same page. If you're not on the same page, of course, the relationships that you're building within that business or church or wherever it's at are not going to work. It's going to crumble, or even if it doesn't crumble, it's going to feel very shaky at times because some things may not get done properly, and that's not what you want. You want to be able to have people with shared experiences. The third thing John mentions is trust. When you respect and you spend enough time with them to develop shared experiences, you are in a position to finally develop what? Trust, right? Trust does not come naturally, no matter what. No matter how much people can argue the fact that, oh, well, I trusted someone the moment I met them. Don't lie to me. There's no way you trusted someone the moment you met them. You have to build trust. Trust doesn't just come without, like, respect, right? You have to build mutual experience. You have to build respect with people. You have to have mutual ground about things, understand each other, and when you understand each other, that's when trust comes, because then when you start to trust people, then those essentials, right, into being a part of that relationship with that person has a solid ground now, right? You've built respect for them, now you have shared experiences, and now you're building trust with them. Scottish poet George MacDonald observed, "To be trusted is a great compliment than to be loved." Without trust, you cannot sustain any kind of relationship, right? How do most relationships end up failing, whether it's friendships or marriages or just relationships in general? It's because of what? Usually there's a sense of trust that's broken, right? When the trust is broken, it's hard to say, hey, I don't know if I can really trust you to go out and do this or to take care of that or whatever it is, right? I have plenty of friends that, we're all younger, so like we've been through some relationships that are a little rocky sometimes, but a lot of the relationship, like the friends that used to ask me for stuff all the time or ask me like, hey, how do you feel about this? I was like, well, is there trust in your relationship with that friend or that person you're with, right? They're like, well, they kind of lost it when they did this. And it's like, see that there's a thorn now, right? Even if you do respect each other and you have those shared experiences, now there's a lack of trust. And because there's a lack of trust, it's going to be hard to maintain the relationship. You need to continue to build on that trust. So in number 4, he says reciprocity. A one-sided personal relationship does not last. We know that, right? If you're putting in all the effort for a friendship or relationship, what usually happens? You feel drained, right? Whether it's spiritually or mentally, you're going to feel drained. I've been in some of those. I've had some friendships where I was very one-sided. I put in a lot of effort for somebody. I was there for them. I talked to them and everything, right? When they needed help, I was there to help them. But when I asked, right, for a friend, when I asked for help or I just needed someone to talk to, they were like, well, I don't know if I could really give good advice and I'm kind of busy or whatever. And it was always this one-sided thing. That's not what you want. If one person is always the giver and the other is always the receiver, the relationship will just eventually just dissipate, go away, right? It won't exist. Trust me, I'm sure a lot of us have been there. A lot of church folk have been there. You know what I mean? It's very true to a lot of people in church. When you put in a lot of effort, right, to try and talk to someone about Jesus, and you're trying to bring them to church, right, and they just kind of don't come, you feel very one-sided, don't you? That's just kind of how it is. You're putting a lot of effort trying to invite people to come, or you got one person that you're putting a lot of effort in to try and like talk to them about Jesus, and you're really trying to love on them and care for them and be there for them, right? But because they're always so dejecting of how you want to be there for them, and they're not really there for you, and they have all these complications, you end up putting in all this effort for someone who just doesn't actually want to be there for you. You don't want to do that. You don't want to be the person that's always receiving. But you don't also want to be the person that's always giving either, right? If you are on only the receiving end, I want you to think about where God's at right now in your life in general. Because if you are only receiving that kind of relationship and you're never putting an effort for the relationship, whether it's just a friendship or someone you are actually trying to get married to or someone you're currently married to, whatever it might be, or if you're just a leader in a company, right, and you're just putting in all this effort, or if you're just kind of receiving all the effort and you're not really giving anything out, I want you to think about where you're at in that relationship, and I want you to pray to God to ask you what you can do to further establish something better to connect to that person, or whether you need to cut them off, right? I've talked about this in previous, like a year or two ago maybe. I talked about something John Maxwell mentioned, that when it comes to building relationships or friends, sometimes the way you'll act will be around the 5 people that you spend with the most. And depending on how you act around these people is also the same thing when it comes to your environment as well. If your environment is not safe, if your environment is not godly, if your environment does not spread love, if your environment is not showing kindness, if you're not there for each other, that probably isn't the environment or friend group you want. If you're always giving into your friend group and they're never giving back to you, and I'm not saying you should always give in order to get something in return. That's not what I'm trying to preach right now. I'm not saying you should give in order to say, hey, I expect you to give back, because if that's not how it works, right? If you're always giving to expect something in return, God's never going to bless you, right? Because he just sees that your selfishness is only to give to people because you're hoping it just gets you something back. And that's not what you want. You want to give just out of the genuine kindness of your heart. You want to be able to love on people because you know that God's love is spread within you when you are loving on others, right? But you don't want to be a part of the relationship where you're just giving, because then eventually, like we said, it's just going to disappear. It's going to hurt you in the long run. It's going to make you feel drained mentally, spiritually, physically. You won't want to be there for that person. The same is true in all relationships, including those on a team, in a business or church circle, whatever it might be. For people to improve relationally, there has to be give and take so that everyone benefits as well as gives, right? Remember to ask your teammates, colleagues, friends questions about their hopes, their dreams, their desires, their goals, what they love, how they enjoy certain things, right? Their hobbies, the activities they enjoy to do. What are you doing outside? What can you do to spend time together? What can you do to do things outside of just being part of this, right? Like, sometimes we host dinners. Sometimes we ask people, hey, you want to come over to the house? Like what we do here, like mom and dad. We sometimes have people come over to the house. We eat with them. We spend time with people. That's what you need to do, right? When you are a leader in a position of leader, like when you're in a position of leadership, spending time with people, asking them how they're doing, praying with them, praying for them, right? Making everyone feel that they are a part of what we have here, a family. When we're talking to people overseas online, their family as well. When you're tuning in to watch us and dad's preaching, or when I'm teaching, or mom's teaching, or when we have other people teaching, you're a part of what we have, right? That's why when we ask you to post questions or say, hey, is there anything that we can pray for you about, right? We want to respond in kind. We want to be able to pray for people. We want to be able to be there for them as best as we can, because when you ask questions, right, what happens? Curiosity is sparked within their heart, right? When you have curiosity sparked in their heart, you're giving them their attention. They start to feel like, hey, this person's actually there for me. Maybe I do want to share my hopes, my dreams, my desires, the things I enjoy, what I feel like God's telling me, right? That's what you want. That's how you want to build relationship with people. You want to make them feel trusted, respected, share that mutual experience with them, make them feel like they can open up to you to tell them about what they are desiring and what they believe God's telling them, whatever it might be, right? You have to show others you care. Give them your attention, right? John says when it comes to relationships, everything begins with respect, with a desire to place value on other people. And then the last thing is just mutual enjoyment, right? When relationships grow and they start to get solid, the people involved begin to enjoy each other's company. Just being together can turn even unpleasant days or tasks or jobs that you really don't want to do into something fun, right? There are times that I've helped with doing roofing jobs, and like when we built our porch in our backyard and everything, when I was helping Brad do that, it was very unpleasant. It was very hot. I didn't want to pick up this giant piece of wood and put it in the ground. I didn't want to do none of that stuff. But because it's with my family and we were having fun and we had that mutual respect for each other, it turned into a positive experience, and I learned some stuff from it, and it was kind of fun, even though I was sweating a lot. It was like 99 degrees. It wasn't fun. And I was also working a job. So I was getting up at 7 in the morning to help him out with that, and then going to work at like 9, and then getting back and then helping him again in the evening. So it wasn't like it was a pleasant experience, but we had fun because we all know each other. We ate together, we sat down, we talked about things afterwards, and that's what happens, right? When you build that respect, mutual experiences, you build trust. We talked about reciprocity, right? You're building all these things that require the foundation of a good relationship with somebody or with multiple people, right? So he says, how are you doing when it comes to being relational? So this is a question to everybody. So this is how I'm going to read this. He says, do you spend a lot of time and energy building solid relationships, or are you focused on results that you tend to overlook or that make people feel overrun? If the latter is true of you, he wants you to think about these wise words by George Kienzle and Edward Dare in a book called Climbing the Executive Ladder. They say, few things will pay you bigger dividends than the time and trouble you take to understand people. Nothing will give you greater satisfaction or bring you more happiness. Becoming a highly relational person brings individual and team success. It's powerful, right? So where you're at right now, I just want to ask you, for everyone that's watching, if you're here, where do you believe you're at right now when it comes to being relational with people? Do you believe you're putting in the effort? Do you believe you're actually spending time to build solid relationships? Or do you think some of the relationships you're building are not worth it? They're actually hurting you more than they are helping. Are they godly relationships, or are they just fleshly relationships? Who are you spending time with to put in that effort, right? We don't want flesh relationship, do we? So I just want to pray with you right now to just kind of put some demands on our lives, and also at the same time just pray that we get through some things, right? So Lord, I just want to pray right now as we end this session. If there's anybody out there, if anyone here that's going through some stuff, they're not sure they're being relational with people, they're not sure they're building good relationships, or maybe they think they're building good relationships, but after listening to what was said, they're starting to wonder, well, maybe these ones aren't for me. I just want to pray right now, God, you start putting godly, amazing, good relationships into these people's lives. You start to show them new relationships or stronger relationships, or if they have good relationships with some people right now, we just pray a stronger bond with those people right now so that we can build into the kingdom of God to get more people saved, to get more people to come to be together, more people worshiping God, and more people encouraging each other in the Word, and more people just encouraging each other in general. We hope that this will help build businesses to be on the foundation of Jesus, and that new relationships that do come, if that's what you're looking for, are good, solid, firm, long-lasting, lifetime relationships. In the name of Jesus, amen.
Very good.
We just want to encourage everybody that's watching, everyone that's just kind of here. We will be trying to do this more next week, but we also want to start trying adding Zoom. So that TV that we have back there, we're going to try to start letting people know that we're going to do Zoom calls and stuff. So if you want to join, like if you're not able to come here, we will be able to see you on screen if you want to start joining our Zoom eventually. For start trying to do that every Sunday. Hopefully, maybe we'll do it in the mornings as well for prayer. We'll discuss it. But we're gonna start using that just so you kind of feel like, for everyone that, like, if you're not here, you'll feel like you're part of it. And then we can also talk to you when we see you on the screen because we can control that and all that. So it'll be cool. It'll be interactive in its own way. But yeah, we just want to be able to encourage you to be a part of that. And throughout the week as well, Dad does morning sessions at 10:30. Mom prays at 10. So if you ever feel like you just want to drop in to pray with us or to be a part of that, you're totally welcome. So, oh yeah, Thursday morning is different. Dad's been doing a special training with a group of people from overseas, Nigeria. They're doing like a schooling thing. A few of those videos are online already. So yeah, yeah, that's all I wanted to say. Thank you guys for being here. I will start teaching more now because I haven't been. I've been doing this for like 3 years now, but I've kind of been not doing it lately, just because we've been super busy traveling. Which I will be posting more of that stuff as well. We're going to be leaving to go other places soon. So you'll get to see some of those videos. We might even put some of that stuff on the screen for you guys to see next Sunday if you're curious. So yeah. Amen. You can. Am I still live? I just want to make sure that I'm not rambling. Okay, I'm still live. Amen. We love you guys. Bless you.